series.
Okay.
Ideally, we should see the amount of funding that you're asking for decrease. That way you're demonstrating sustainability. So it kind of just depends. Are you asking for the same exact project? Are you changing the scope of work? It can change up or down, but just keep in mind that we are looking for you to have sustainability. Are you going up in cost because
just cost of
are you
living
expanding
salaries.
the program?
Yeah. Oh, okay. That kind of thing. Got it. Right. No one came over here?
I guess the link isn't working for people, so
Because they're clicking it. They have to copy the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I am trying to get meeting info, copy join info. I'm trying to send everyone who registered you're here.
Yeah.
You can get Callie. Hello.
Hello.
So AJ, did that answer your questions about the renewal, and does it have to be the same amount of money?
Kind of, because I mean, like if we even if we expanded, like if ours is still for, you know what I mean? If ours is still for like the salaries and stuff, that if it stays the same, even if we expand the program, it'll go up, but like that doesn't allow for the cost of living increases. You know what I mean? For the salaries for the employees.
Yeah, so it's not a hard no.
Okay,
It's why is it increasing?
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Ours
And
would
so
just be
like
like
if the
standard.
amount is increasing, but you're only asking us to cover salaries, you're not also asking us to continue covering programming, and the
Yeah.
increase in salary is due to inflation, the council would view that as like you are being sustainable.
Okay. Got it.
So
Yeah,
it's
that
not
makes
a hard
sense.
no. It's not that it should not go up.
Yeah.
It's justifying why it's going up. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I sincerely apologize. We are trying new technology. I'm going to get it fixed for next week. I had a whole meeting with IT this morning, so this wouldn't happen, and it happened anyway. But thank you for your flexibility. So yeah, my intent was that this office hour is more like a free-flowing dialogue. So we are just going to kind of like rotate through questions with people. If you have a lot of questions and you're kind of dominating conversation, I am going to suggest that you jump on my bookings page, and we have more of like a one-on-one. That way everyone has time to ask their questions. So yeah, Daniel.
Hi,
Who are
Chelsea.
you? Who are you and where are
I'm
you
with
from?
Empower Recovery.
Okay, nice
I'm
to meet
Daniel
you.
Lakoto. I'm the operations director with Empower Recovery. You've been speaking a lot with like Alexandra and Chris McDonald. I just wanted to confirm because we were in that last Grok meeting, and it said that ineligible organizations were for-profit organizations, but I believe that
That
we
has
would.
changed.
Okay, I'm just double
Yeah.
checking that.
Yep. So the funding announcement has been updated. The Q&A has been updated. That was from only the state funding limits that. The ROACs can do whatever we want, and so we kind of changed that to make everyone eligible.
That's amazing. And just so I understand too, we can only apply for like one area of funding, right? So only either recovery or treatment, or how does that work? Like,
Yeah, so you have to decide where your application fits best.
okay,
You can do, like, if you have an application that has like 10% of the funding is going towards treatment and like 40% of the fund, or that doesn't equal 100, 90% of the funding is going to recovery, I would just put that in the recovery house.
okay, perfect.
You also have the option of doing two completely separate applications.
Okay, so per organization, we could do two different program applications as long as they're very separate.
Yep.
And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's also another funding for infrastructure that is outside of the COAC. Did I understand that part
So
correctly?
yeah, the COAC has an infrastructure award. That application closed on February 3rd. That
Okay.
is more for capital purchases. You would have had to approach either the ROAC, which is like a region, so regional council, which is the GROC, a regular county or a city to go to apply as an implementing organization. You cannot apply directly.
Okay.
Yeah, and you should start that process probably like 3 months before the deadline. I would say start that process when the application opens, because no one really knows how this mechanism works. This is only the second time it's been open, and everyone has different vetting processes, and they take different amounts of time to go through the vetting process. So as soon as the next infrastructure award opens, I would figure out who you want to apply through and approach them to start that vetting process as the implementing organization. And
Okay.
you should be asking, that's geared more for capital assets, so like buying a house,
Right.
or construction. It's a lot of construction costs or treatment facilities, and working with like an insurance company. It's more of those.
Okay, perfect. That answered my
Yeah.
question. So don't worry about it now. Once it opens up, jump on it right away.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess one more thing since nobody's
Yeah.
talking. I know that you've been updating the website. Now there is going to be like the guided application links of like how everything should look and everything like that. Is that available?
Yeah. So let me actually share my screen.
And when is the deadline for the initial application? I know that you gave us all this. I just don't have it in front of me right
It's
now.
okay. It's okay. It's always good to, oh my gosh, I don't have a Mac. I'm switching to an HP and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so right here, here's all of the application materials. So if you click on section 4, application submission information, this shows you what the application looks like, the information that you would need. It gives you like a background. So I recommend putting all of this information into a Word document while you're working on it,
Okay,
making sure
perfect.
that you hit like the word counts, that you can edit it, you could share it with whoever you want. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it says final submission, you'll click. And this is the official form. So you can look at this just to see the actual layout of things. And like I went over on Tuesday, for these like required documents, you can click on the link and it tells you how to get the required document. On Tuesday's webinar is going to go over the project description, the background, and I think the objectives. So I'll walk you through each kind of part of this, how you can word it, kind of what we're looking for. And then those recordings, so like here's a recording, here's a recording. Those recordings will be linked right here for you to go back and watch. Then on this day, March 18th, this will be a final application review day. So this would be like you copying everything over, kind of checking it, and then clicking submit. You also have the option of scheduling an application review with me where I go over everything with you. I can only check for completeness. I cannot comment on the merit or strength, and meeting with me does not guarantee funding. So yeah, and then it's due at 11:59 p.m. on Monday, March 31st in this portal right here.
Excellent.
Click submit.
So this we don't need to do like your typical grant writing process. We're just following this application, right? Like, would it be necessary or important for us to get a grant writer involved with it?
That's entirely up to you. The purpose of me hosting these like webinars is that most of the organizations who really should be applying for this money don't have the capacity or the finances to hire a grant writer. You always have that option if you want to work with someone, if you have the financial means to do so, you can. I was not involved in the last round of funding, so I can't really comment on the politics or preference of the council. I can tell you that they are elected officials. They are not grant reviewers by training. So I don't know how, I don't know. I don't think it needs to be like super, super extensive. It's really just like, we need to know what you want to do and how much you want for it.
Okay, cool. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, and just, we're trying to give ourselves the best opportunity to try to win one of these grants. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, is it Kaylee or Callie?
It's Kaylee.
Kaylee. Okay, so I had a friend, Callie, and she spelled it exactly like that. So that's just in my head. And then I'm also from California, so that's also in my head. Okay, so Kaylee, got it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It happens all the time. Yeah, so just kind of, he asked a couple questions I was going to ask. So I know that when the grants are reviewed, there's people separate into groups, and
we're not doing that. No,
you're not doing that. So everybody's reviewing all of them.
No. So the people, the voting members are reviewing applications based on their subject matter expertise that they feel confident reviewing. And so that'll be split up evenly. Every application will be reviewed by a minimum of 4 people, 1 person from each county in the region. So someone from Jefferson, someone from Clear Creek, someone from Gilpin, and then an advisory board member. And as we discussed at the January 27th meeting, is that we have holes in the approved advisory board members. So we might have to do some more targeted outreach once the application window closes. And then those names would be brought to the council. They would be voted on. They would have to sign an NDA. And then we're going to look for scores, and there'll be a natural break, and all of the applications above the natural break will be brought to full council discussion. All the applications below the natural break will be held until the end. And then in the rubric, and that's already posted online. And in March, on the March 24th meeting, we're going to have a training on how to use the rubric. So we're going to look at a really bad application. We're going to look at a decent application. We're going to look at a really good application. Part of the rubric is summarize the strength, like identify 3 strengths, identify 3 weaknesses, summarize the application in 6 to 12 sentences. So from the 4 reviewers, that information will be summarized and put on a slide to start the conversation. The council will go through a repetitive process of learn more or not advancing until we get to, and at that same time, Chris Hadgood is going to be like looking at our financials. So like if we fund all the applications, where we at in our budget, until we get to a point where we identify some finalists, and then those finalists will be given a revise and resubmit So the council might have questions about the application. Those will be summarized into a document given to the applicant. They'll have roughly 1 week to respond to us, go back to the table with those questions and answers, and then the council will decide if they want to fund, partially fund, or not fund.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is if I was to apply to 2 categories, I
Mhm.
don't want applying to one to affect the other one. You
They
know what I mean?
well, it might. I mean, it
Yeah, that's
might.
what I'm worried about is like,
The
oh, well, if
only
we give her this, then we don't want to give her another one, you know?
No, it wouldn't happen like that. The only way it would happen is like, so the review is going to happen in clusters. And so like on day 1, we're going to review only the recovery applications, and we have a dollar amount to hit for recovery. Then on the next day, we're going to review all the treatment applications, and same thing, we have a dollar amount for treatment. So it's not going to hurt you to apply. Like, you're not going to be competing against yourself. You can't submit 2 treatment applications.
Right, right. Yeah, I was gonna submit a treatment and a recovery.
Yeah,
So
that would be so you're essentially saying that if you don't get the treatment portion of your grant, you're okay with the recovery portion of your grant.
yeah, they're 2 separate businesses.
Yeah.
So
Then
yeah.
definitely make
I
it
just
two
don't want them
separate
to be like, oh,
applications.
I don't want them to be like, oh, we gave her the recovery one, so we don't want to give her 2 at the same time.
That's
That's what I'm worried about.
that's not going to happen.
Okay. That's what I
That
was.
might be a future consideration. But as of right now, that's not a consideration. If you have a good application, it doesn't matter if you're monopolizing, you have good applications.
Yeah, I think it would just be important to show that I have people in place to do both. Like it's not just me trying to do everything by myself. It's
Yeah.
kind of also, how do you, I mean, you might have already mentioned this, but how do I get on Civic Plus? Because I Googled it and like 3 things and I'm not sure what the right thing is.
So you want to go to the funding website. Everything is on our website.
Okay, yeah, I'm on it right now.
Okay, and then scroll down to the very bottom.
Okay. Oh, submit to Civic Plus right there.
Yep. That did
Okay.
not become available until Saturday. It was like Friday
Okay.
night when I put it up. That's why you couldn't see it, is because it wasn't open yet.
All right, so I'm not like that out of it. Sorry, I've been sick this week, so I'm just kind of.
No, it's okay.
Okay, cool. Also, hold on, I feel like I had another question. So when you guys are explaining the high rate, like the preferred populations, I'm curious why LGBTQ is not on there anymore. Is that still?
Yeah, that's still a preferred population.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wasn't listed, so I just wanted to make sure. And then I think that was all the questions I had so far. Oh, I did have another question about the letters of support. I know you explained that on the meeting. I just wanted to clarify. So, because I remember you saying the letters of support would only be seen by a certain group, or are they seen by everyone? Is there like a number we're going for, or is it just to have a few letters of support or acknowledgement?
Hold on, I'm still looking at your population.
Oh, yeah, it was underneath.
I don't know, that really is not on there. That it should be on there. That is a priority population.
Okay, I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so in terms of like are you asking about the number of letters of support versus are you asking about what is a letter of support versus what is the letter of acknowledgement, or how many of these you should have?
I understand that. I remember you saying something about the letters would be seen at this point, but not at this point. And I just wanted to clarify that, unless I'm remembering it
They
wrong.
won't be seen in the first round of scoring.
Okay, the first round, they're not seen. They're just seen if you scored
If
well.
you make it to group discussion, then they'll be pulled out.
Okay. And you just get as many as you can get, or is it?
You want to be strategic.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do more than 2, it might make more sense to do one letter of support that is signed by multiple people.
Okay.
So a joint letter of support.
So it's just easier to go through. That makes sense.
Well, you want to think about like, what is the purpose of the letter of support? Are these, and this is just general grant writing practice. What is the purpose of the letter of support, and what aspect of the application is the letter of support speaking to? If it's speaking to the organization to generally do the work that they are proposing, just do a joint letter, like a general letter of support. If you're talking about the organization's ability specifically to do program evaluation, that would be probably a separate letter of support. Budgeting, that would be a separate letter of support. So think about like if you hired an external evaluator, they would want to do a letter of support agreeing to collaborate on your evaluation plan described in the application. Then you might have a second letter of support from, let's say, your colleagues, other sober living homes, who say, yes, Cali is the best at serving women, and Monarch Recovery should like, they serve women. They should do this project. You should give them money for this project. That would be like 2 separate letters. Then maybe like your bank talking about your ability to finance and budget. So see how those are 3 separate letters?
What about who we get, like current grants or past grants we've had, like committees from those grants? Would that be applicable?
Yeah, that they enjoy working with you, that you deliver on your app. Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
And so if you have like 3 other grant makers you work with, I would just do one letter of support and have all 3 of them sign.
Okay.
Right? Like you don't want to overwhelm the review committee.
I see what you're saying. So just combine the ones that are relevant and put them onto one letter.
That way, like in your subject line, you're like ability to do work, recommending to be an awardee, a grantee, agreement to be an external evaluator as like the subject line in the letter of support.
Okay. That makes sense.
And there's not necessarily a magic number. I wouldn't say that having them or not having them is make or break. It just helps contextualize, again, your ability to do the work in the application and explain to the council your ability to do the work proposed in the application.
Okay.
I always add in too on any of the grants I do is also the commitment to filing the reports and making sure the reporting is up to date and accurate, and to be in communication with, with like GROC if need be, like that kind of commitment to your time and to like the expertise of filling out and keeping on track with stuff. I always add that in there. Reviewers love that, like, because it's not just like I'm going to do a bunch of work and thank you for the money and you're not going to see me again, until I ask you for a payment. But like, I'm going to make sure that I'm asking on time. I'm going to make sure that it's accurate, and I'm going to make sure that I have the capacity to do that. I have that to like every grant like I've ever written. So
and you have to remember is that this is the review committee is not a field of experts. Like you're not applying for NIH and the review committee is a bunch of scientists in the field of addiction or recovery science. Like this is a bunch of elected officials who are very much learning about substance use disorder, addiction, recovery while they're going through this process. So as much as you can in lay terms explain the problem, how you intend to address the problem, and then examples of you addressing the problem, again, meeting the standards that we ask for in reporting, going through that general funding announcement, as easy, like explicit, few words as possible you can use to communicate that, then the more likely it is the council will understand what you want to do.
Yeah, because I think last time they seemed confused with the grant and because I was there, but I couldn't like say anything, you know, I wasn't allowed to like explain anything, but they all seemed to kind of be like going back and forth. So I understand what you mean by that. It's just kind of.
And then you do have me in this round, and I am a recovery scientist. I've been in the field, so I know a lot more about the depth and breadth of applications we're going to get to inform them of like why this is necessary or what it is people are trying to do. And then, so that'll definitely be helpful. We also have that partially fund option, so that'll make the council feel a little bit more better. Then I'm also pushing the council to determine a framework on capital. And so it's not like if we don't know how to contract it, we're not going to award it. It's like, no, we're going to award it and we're going to figure out how to contract it. Like this is not like which comes first. If this is a good project, it's our job and our diligence to figure out how to contract it. So let's award it and let's go to the COAG and ask how we contract it. So you won't have that same problem that you had last year.
Okay. So then capital is allowed still?
Capital is allowed. That is a completely separate area. So if you're like asking for a van and recovery programming, again, and the recovery programming budget is bigger than your van, put your application in the recovery field. If you are solely asking for money to cover construction costs of a treatment center, a recovery house, a building, whatever, that is capital. Put that in the capital bucket. That is a completely different conversation with the review committee.
So then they would be able to say this time, like, no, we're not going to do the capital, but we will fund the programming. Like they can do that part, like you said. It's not going to be just like, no again.
Right.
Okay.
That's all I was telling Daniel.
So like, would you do two? Right? You one for the capital. You would do two, right? Like one for the capital, then one for the other. Like.
Well, can they? One, I'm going to ask if they can function without each other. Two, I'm asking what is the capital?
Yeah, I'm just asking because like we have two separate departments, like we have CCHAT and then we have the public health, and we're submitting for both departments for GBROC, for this round. Where like CCHAT had it, the co-responders had it this year, like this past round, and then we're adding another one too. I'm thinking to do separate because they're two separate entities within the county, right? Even though, and maybe that can overlap a little bit, because they're two separate, or no, it can't. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the purpose.
I would have to see the projects.
Okay.
To see.
Yeah.
We don't really, we're figuring this out as we go. Full transparency, guys. We don't really have a lot of rules. We're taking all this feedback and all these questions to redirect to get more clarity in the next round. You can submit two different applications. You can't duplicate work.
Yeah. They're two separate, total different entities within the county.
Yeah, I would think if you have like how Kaylee has two different businesses that do two different things. To me, that's two different applications.
Yeah. Okay.
Could you do a joint application and demonstrate partnership? Yeah.
But then your reporting would be like that would be hard to report. You know what I mean? Because like what if they're on different pace? Like, like I don't know. Like invoicing would be totally like that would be so hard to do. Like to
Yeah,
totally set like
A lot of work, but you just got to do it.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
But sometimes the joint application between two entities is easier. It just depends on like your human capital that you have. But to
Yeah.
me, that sounds like two separate applications.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I also have another question. So say I was applying for the treatment to help open up a treatment center. It would be a new treatment center. If I got that funding, is it okay to put that in a new LLC that's not on the application that was on the application I applied for? Like, would I just outline that in the grant, or because it was okay in one of mine, but I don't know if it would, I just want to make sure.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So for example, if, Monarch Sober Living was applying to this to open up a treatment center, like if I got the grant to open a treatment center, I wouldn't put that under the same LLC as Monarch Sober Living, because just liability purposes, I would make a new one. So would that be
So
like
no, Monarch Sober Living would still be the applicant, and then you would have a sub-awardee. So, and
two
then
other
yeah,
LLC?
and then your treatment center is the implementing organization.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, if that's your plan, you should jump on my calendar for a one-on-one to talk about this through a little bit more.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
It's sort of a plan, but yeah, okay, we can.
Yeah, jump on jump on my calendar. My booking link is in the email that had this Teams link in it.
Also, if someone were to get funded, how does that work? Is that only reimbursable, or do you get the money up front and send it invoicing?
We work on a reimbursement model unless you put in your application that certain funds are required up front. So like, for example, Gilpin County Sheriff did a co-responder program that required the purchase of laptops to put in their patrol cruisers. So they needed the money up front because it's $200,000. So that was an upfront lump sum. And then Advocates for Recovery, they have stipends and programming needs. So they're a reimbursement basement, but they asked for $50,000 up front to purchase the van. So they got that up front, but we work in a reimbursement model.
Okay.
So it really just depends.
You just have to plan it out and have it all outlined beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then again, just because you ask for it up front does not mean the council will approve it up front.
Right.
Yeah. Jump on
Okay.
my calendar.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. let's have a one-on-one.
Okay.
Daniel, AJ, Alex.
Question about Callie? No, not Callie. Kaylee. About her question. So with the separate LLC though, wouldn't you kind of do like one application for the Monarch, right? To provide like services to the like well, the sober living would provide services to Monarch, so it could kind of be both because they're both tax. She does a whole separate LLC. It's going to be taxed separately, right? So she could have the sub-awardee, or she could do like two and then split the, you know what I mean, and then split the actual functionality.
You guys should connect so that you can talk about that like business aspect offline. But the question the council is going to ask, and this is why I want to talk to Kaylee off a recorded video, is
got it. Never mind.
Are you an expert in that field? So if you primarily do sober living, and that's like where your history is, and now you want to branch out into treatment, but we have all of these other licensed treatment facilities who have been doing it for 30 plus years. Why should we grant you money? The premise of the dollars is that it needs to go to empirically tested, proven methods. So if you're new in that field, that kind of raises a flag. Again, it's not a hard no. I think there are other ways that
Smart.
she can
It's smart, sweet.
specifically draft her application in a different way. But that's why I want to talk to her off of a recorded video, let her kind of like brainstorm and see what that would look like.
Sorry.
But the more the
I
business
just
aspect, you
was
guys don't want
thinking
to
it
talk
through
about
my
that
head, so
offline.
I apologize.
It's okay. Daniel, Alex, do you guys have any other questions?
Chelsea, it's so nice to talk to you again. You know, I am here with Daniel, and I think you answered all of our organization's questions, at least on my end.
Awesome. Well, you guys don't have to stay the whole time. You guys can leave or you guys can stay. It's fine.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll book an appointment with you.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what, the more appointments you guys book with me, the more it looks like I do my job.
All right. Thank you. Have a
She's
good day.
so
Yeah, have a
busy.
good day.
Thanks for your time, Chelsea. Thank you so
Yeah.
Thank
much.
you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jesse.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. And I'm going to close out this video, aiming to redirect and fix all these technology issues for next week. So stay tuned, keep an eye on the website. Make sure you still register for the webinar so I have your email and I can reach out with any technology changes. Have a great day.